Hello, everyone. This is Hot or Not. My name is Keith Peffer. It's been a while. I mean, you guys are probably haven't seen me in almost 6 months or maybe even longer. But we got a good show here. I have David Peace here, our honorary professional trier. And we also have Andy Reynolds and Stephen Sherrick here.
Oh.
And for Pix Plus. So Pix Plus, this is kind of a new company here, right? I mean, we haven't really heard about you guys before. So I'm just going to let you guys kind of tell us, what is Pix Plus? Like, what is your company about?
Well, both Pix Plus, or Pix Plus being Canada Pix Plus and USA Pix Plus. I mean, we're both, to be honest, we're babies in this pixel industry. I mean, we were both registered in 2021. One of the reasons that happened was because we saw what was going on in the industry and the issues and everything. And we just, we decided that it was a good way to, now was a good time to get involved and show everybody what we can do and how we can do it and why we do it. We basically, what happened is we came across a manufacturer in South Africa, and he had these really innovative ideas, but he didn't have any distribution in Canada or US, North America to be precise. So I started working with him and came up with CanPix Plus, and then we got Stephen on board with us to do the USA distribution, and that's basically the birth of Pix Plus.
So how did you guys meet?
We met through the manufacturer. We use a common source to the both of us. So he set us up. He knew that he knew Steven, he knew me, so he basically put us together, and here we are.
So I kind of want to paint a picture for the audience here. Last year, 2020, right? We had all kinds of pixel problems, right? That was kind of the nightmare year with COVID and everything else. Manufacturing was stressed, right? And with that came a lot of quality control problems. So that's where you saw something like that. You figured you can improve on that and stepped up, right? That's kind of
yeah. Both Andy and I had that problem last year. We both had pixels that caught on fire, and when that happened, we started to work with the South African manufacturer, designing something that we thought was going to be better. And that was actually the thing that really started pushing us really strongly into doing this, was last year's quality issues. So what we wanted to do was have a pixel that was not only going to be more cost effective and be cheaper, but was going to be one that had a high quality to it. I come out of the automotive quality side. I'm a quality director for one of the major parts manufacturers here in the U.S. And so my background is basically in quality. Andy's background is more in the electronic side. My background is in production and quality. So we wanted to build something that we thought was going to do better than what we've been seeing coming out of Asia in the last couple of years.
So coming from a I apologize. I was going to say, coming from a quality control background, what kind of tests are you putting these pixels through to put them through their paces?
Well, so far what we've been doing is, well, first, all of our pixels have a 48-hour burn. 100% of the pixels are going to be burned in for 48 hours, going through a full testing cycle of fades in all of your colors, having 100% white burn for what do we decide to do on that, Andy? How long are we doing the white burn now?
The white burn we did on the prototypes. We ran them through a four-day burn-in test, full white, 100%. And now they just go through the cycle with everything else on the burn-in, and they go through the chases, the fades in, the color changes, full power, and because of that, we're so confident in the product, we're actually offering them with the 3-year manufacturer's warranty.
Wow.
So, you know,
Yeah, that's impressive.
yeah, so
Another
I mean,
thing
as long
that's,
as they're not abused or anything, we'll take them back and we'll exchange them for a new set. I mean, it's pretty much that easy.
Another thing that's different from what I have seen in my history buying pixels is we have lot control. We're able
Yes.
to trace back to the individual lot that something is made on, actually going all the way back to the component level itself. So we have, I think, good traceability, and that's something that I insist on from the automotive quality side. We have to have that type of thing. So there's no reason we can't do it with this too. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
So if there is a problem, and people have said, I've seen some things about, are you manufacturers, are you assemblers? Well, everybody's essentially an assembler. We do buy components, but we have to be able to trace back to those components when there is an issue. And we're not saying there's never going to be an issue, but when there is, we want to be able to trace it and fix it immediately.
Yeah. And the way, one of the ways where you're going to do that is, you know, people are going to say, well, how can you trace it back? Well, our pixels are actually shipped in boxes. It's either going to be 2 sets of 50 in the box or one set of 100. It's in a box by itself. There's a quality assurance sticker on that box with all the information needed to trace it back. So that's another difference of what we do. And actually, in the way they're manufactured, when you pull them out of the box, and this, I'm sure people are going to relate to this, is you don't have to untangle them. When you pull them out, they're going to be all straight. You can just pop them right into the pixels. You don't have to spend half an hour getting your kids to untangle them for you.
Sold.
Yeah,
There you
that's a selling point.
I didn't know that was a feature, but now
Yeah.
that's all you need right there.
So kind of to highlight some things. So what you kind of saw, you know, from last year and what you kind of improved on was, you know, burn-in testing, lots, which I'm kind of like, wow, I can't even believe that our manufacturers and distributors weren't even thinking about lots. You know, I come from a food production side, and lots are our savior. So.
And Stephen pointed out, it clicked with me yesterday that from our knowledge, we're the only pixel manufacturer that actually brands its pixels. The brand is printed right on the pixels. So there's no saying, no, that's not me, that's XYZ. You know, it's right there. So
yeah, let's address that really quick. So your pixels are different, right? I mean, like, not only
Very
are they
different.
marked differently, but I'm going to show my screen here for a second, if that's okay. For the people that are watching, you can see kind of what I mean by different. So you're used to most pixels being an epoxy, right? And so what makes yours different?
Well, our pixels, first of all, we don't use the epoxy, we use injection molded. One of the big differences that we do is the IC is actually up in the LED. David could attest to this. Lee ripped one of these guys apart. You saw it on the on your web page. That IC being up in the chip, it prevents you from, when you're pushing a pixel, you're not pushing on that casing that's pushing on the IC that's, you know, putting strain on it. The other thing is, because it's injection molded, we actually made the pixel 22 millimeters instead of the standard 30 to 37, Stephen, I think we calculated.
Yeah, I have pixels from about 5 different manufacturers over the years. I measured what I have, and they range anywhere from 32 millimeters long up to 37.
Yeah.
Ours are a standard 22.
Yeah, so we did that. We also, in that picture you see right there, you see the arrows. That's your data flow or data flow, depending where you're from, direction. So in this case, it's pointing outward. So there's your data out. You know, the other side is data in. On that side of the pixel, the voltage is actually printed right on there. So you don't have to go squinting to try to see what's inside the board to figure out which way the data flow is going or what voltage it is. So that's some of the innovations. The other innovation you saw there was the 2 loops on the side. Stephen, you want to handle that one?
Yeah, the two loops that it's multifunctional. First of all, it was initially designed to string like a aircraft cable through a steel aircraft cable, so that you could string it along your eaves or along the ridge line or something of your house, rather than having to come up with some kind of a drill holes in the PVC and stuff them through and all these other things. This allows you to string them up essentially, and it works very well. The other thing is we decided we were going, and this is a pixel designed by hobbyists for hobbyists. So one of the main things that we all use is the 10 millimeter Coro from Biscoyo, Holiday Coro, Gilbert, any of them. They pretty much standardize on the 10 millimeter. So we designed the length of the housing to be 10 millimeters, and those two loops are a stop point. So you can be very quick shoving these into a 10 millimeter Coro, because you have a stop to it. If you are a 3D manufacturer, just like what he's holding up there, what Andy's got there, you say, well, this isn't going to work because that's more than 10 millimeters. Well, if you push the pixel in, give it a little twist, those two little pieces on the end, the two little loops there, act as a gripper inside that 3D prop, and it holds them in place very well. Okay. We first demonstrated these pixels out in Las Vegas at the Christmas Expo. And that was one of the things I think that people were most interested in, because a lot of the hobbyists now are doing their own 3D props. And this is a good way to make sure that your pixel is going to stay inside that prop. So the dimensions were all put in there for a very specific reason. We went through a lot of different versions of this, not only with the dimensions, but with the material itself. We tested out different durometers of plastic, of the plastic we use for the injection molding. We ended up with with one that's going to be a 90 durometer plastic. And if you've ever been involved in rubber and plastics, you know that's got some give to it. It's like a solid rubber. So it's not rock hard like an epoxy would be if you're trying to shove it into the holes. It has some give to it, so you're not going to be as likely to have have your thumbs get raw and red and get blisters on them. Pixel thumbs, yeah. And then we also put a little bit of a bevel to that back end, so you have a grip. And not only can you grip it with your thumb and forefinger, but it's real easy to put a little notch in a 1 inch or a half inch piece of dowel rod and use that as a pusher. Makes a very easy push to put it in. So the design, as I said, it's designed by people who actually use pixels. They weren't designed by a bunch of engineers sitting around a table. It was designed by people who actually go out and push pixels and put up displays each year.
Yeah. And because we're dealing directly with the manufacturer, at Las Vegas Expo, we realized that the pixel itself was a bit loose inside the Biscoyo Coro. Mm-hmm. So we actually went through a redesign. So our new molds just came in this week. So we're going to be once we start pushing the pixels, once we start manufacturing them, it's all going to be designed to fit, like Steven says, the hobbyists. Right? It's designed for that. It's designed for all of us to make our lives easier, basically.
Yeah, and we have the ability because we are direct with the manufacturer. Andy and I are the only distributors for them, so we have a very direct line with them. When we have something we need to change or have an idea that's going to make something better, it takes one phone call. We're on the phone with them, and we can make things happen right away. We don't have to wait until next year or whatever. Like when we're trying to deal with some of the Asian manufacturers, we can do things right now, and we can do them to what somebody's asked us for a change on something. Just like that, the change to make the dimensions just a little bit tighter into the scolio props. It worked great on the Gilbert prop. The scolio props were just a little bit looser, so we were able to make a happy medium between the two.
Great. One thing I wanted to show here, because you guys at Christmas Expo actually gave me one of these guys without the injection mold, and I thought this was really cool, so I wanted to show this. See if I can do it here. Basically, what you can see is this little PCB. It doesn't really have much on it. Normally you'd see the big, WS2811 chip, which is the world semi chip that, we're used to seeing on our Pixels. You got a couple of resistors there, and then your capacitor. This is a 5-volt, so it doesn't have very much on it at all. So what's nice about that, at least from a quality and safety standpoint, is there's less things to fail. That little chip that controls the data and reading and writing the data and dimming the LEDs is all in here. And you cannot see it with the naked eye. You have to pull out the microscope and take a look at it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And when you're saying that about that being a 5-volt chip, not having much on it, the 12-volt chip won't have much more on it either.
Oh, really?
So,
okay.
The 12-volt chip is very Spartan, and you'll see a few more resistors, but not a lot more.
Is it a regulated chip, or is it?
It's regulated.
Yeah.
So where is there's going to be a regulator on here as well?
Yeah.
Yes, but it's going to be very small.
Okay.
Okay. Do you
And we
guys
decided
carry?
on the 12 volt to go with the regulated. I mean, there's a couple of advantages that we find with the regulated. One being that the color, the voltage stays consistent on the throughout. So as long as you're maintaining your 7 volts to the end of the string, you're not going to have any color degradation or any, flickering or any, dimming throughout the cable or whatnot. So the 5 volts, like you saw, there's basically nothing on it. It's a 5-volt LED with a 5-volt power, so you don't have to do very much to it to get it to work. When it comes to the regulated, they're a little bit more involved, but again, we think we've chosen the best method and the best processes for our Pixels for to give the best quality. And
So the real question is then, when does 24-volt come?
So you're putting me
Go
on
ahead,
the spot, David, are you? Listen, 24 volt. We are going to be launching a 24-volt version.
Ooh.
We weren't supposed to talk about it until Trans World, but what can I say, David? You pulled it out of me. The 24
Paris exclusive.
Yeah.
It's already in the design process for the circuitry, and we've been banging that around here for about the last month.
I hate power injection.
Yeah, don't know who does. Well, actually, I do know one person that enjoys it.
Yeah, and then they post a video about it,
Yes.
which I can't understand anyway. So, so yes, the 24 volt will be coming out in
That's
2022. And we also have 3 or 4 other innovative designs that are coming out, but that you're going to have to wait till Transworld to get the scoop on it. Sorry, David.
One of the things we can talk about that's going to be out by the end of the year is our square pixels.
Okay.
We have actually the rectangular, but everybody calls them squares.
Keith,
they're a little
I
bit.
sent you the picture on that
Yes,
one.
I'll bring that.
Yeah, what's going to be a little bit different about those? First of all, their size. They're going to be a lot smaller than a lot of the square pixels that you find out in the market right now.
And they have a flat back.
Very
Yes.
flat.
Totally flat
Yes.
back.
And you have the loop still, but it's actually on the right side. Sometimes they put the weird loops on, or like a tab on where the wires are. It just doesn't make sense.
Now, one of the things that's not shown on that drawing that we have talked about in the last week is that we're looking at 2 different versions of our square pixels now, to having one that is low like this one, that you could snap into like the Biscoyo strips. But then we're also looking at one with a 10 millimeter top hat that will be able to put through a 10 millimeter Coro from behind.
Yeah.
And it's
That
small
way-
enough
that
that
way
it can
your
go into
Coro-
a lot.
Sorry, that
And
way
that
your
way you're-
Coro is going to be sitting right up flat against the wall or against your whatever.
Or laying
it
on
is.
your roof. I've got snowflakes laying up on my roof that are setting up about 2.5 inches because of the wire that's looped in the back of it off the bullet pixels. It'd be a
I'm in
lot better with
Canada. I
that.
have a lot of snowflakes up on my roof, but they're not there by lighting up though.
Yeah.
I was just thinking when you were just talking about pixel strips and how the advantage of the squares, I was just thinking how originally you addressed how your pixels look coming out of the box, all like one single strip or, easily no tangle problems.
Fan folds.
Fan folds, and how building a mega tree, the strips, oh my gosh, that would be amazingly easy. I mean, think about it. I mean, David knows what I'm already getting at. Sometimes you spend more time just wriggling that pixel strip around on your right arm if you're a righty or a lefty, just trying to straighten it all out. So just to have that is time saver for a lot of us.
And have
No
you
extra
ever
cost, by the
pulled
way.
it? And have you ever pulled a wire out from one of those pixels when you're trying to untwist it? I know I have. And
Earlier
then
on,
you have to cut that pixel out and resolder everything in. These will be fan fold, come right out of the box, all pointing the right direction.
very cool.
So this may be a ways out, but you just mentioned something that kind of triggered this question. When you talk about these props and there's different spacings, and people are kind of used to going to the Ray Woos or the Daniels and saying, hey, I want this spacing, I want or I want these icicles with this many drops and this. Are you guys going to be providing, maybe not initially, but eventually levels of customization like that? Or are you going to have more prefabricated
To start
designs?
off, we're sticking with the 4-inch between the pixels. And but for any large order, like for any order over 50,000 pixels, we can actually, first off, we can change the color of the pixel. So if you don't want black, you want white, you want red, you want green, you want blue, we can customize that for you. And then over 100,000 pixels, we'll customize the length of the cable, the spacing, and also the color of the cable. So again, if you want green on green, green on red, you want to go purple and orange for Halloween, basically we can do that.
Wow.
So that's the flexibility that we have.
And we've also talked this year about setting up a custom shop for just what you're saying there. Somebody, instead of wanting the 10 centimeters, right now we can go up to 12 centimeters without any problem on an order. But anything above that or below that, even getting down low, will be a custom order, and we're looking at a way to do that. Because that is something that a lot of people do like to have, and we'll be able to do that in the future. But starting out, we just want to get pixels out there to people and get our brand out.
Yeah.
And just one of my last couple of questions I kind of have here is kind of a personal one for your own show, because I'm curious, you guys sell pixels and stuff like that. What pixel voltage do you guys prefer for your own show? Is it 12 volts, 5 volts?
I hate power injection.
So
The 24 volts not out yet, so you can make your own decision on that.
I love it.
More volts, more better.
Yeah. But my show's all 12 volts. I've never used 5 volts for anything either.
Very cool.
In fact, when we started looking at 5 volts, I had to go out and buy a 5-volt transformer so I could test them.
I'll tell you what, man, when 24 volt comes out, I will be the first in line for that.
Yep.
How many, David? How many?
Put them on we can put you on the board here for how much?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've already started with 24 volts with our the digital neon. I know, David, you saw that out in Las Vegas around our booth, and that's a 20. We have both a 24 volt and a 12 volt version of that, so we've already started in the 24 volt arena. And especially with the digital neon, that's really nice because you can get a lot more length that way without having to cut in and do your power inject.
So the magic, so kind of an outside looking in, the real magic of your pixels, how I see it, is the IC, right? The integrated chip at the end there. No one's really kind of done that before. Like, I don't know if I'm putting that out there, but that I never really saw, at least on a high production side. I mean, I could think of maybe one other company that did through hole versions, but like for like a breadboard or something like that, but nothing like on a strip like what you guys have. Would you say that's pretty accurate?
Yeah, from what I know, there are other versions with the same top hat, what they consider the top hat. But from what I know, we're the only ones doing, especially the 12-volt version of that. You'll see something similar in the 5-volt, but usually not in the 12-volt.
And is the IC bulb from World Semi, or is it a 2011 kind of compatible part?
It is a WS 2011 from World Semi, according to our supplier, and we just asked that same question again, and we were assured that it was. And without being able to go into a supplier's receipts, you're not going to be able to see a receipt from them from World Semi. We have to take their word for it, but they have assured us that they are actual WS 2011s. And I was kind of hoping that when David tore it down, put it under a microscope, we'd be able to see it, but it's still too small even under that. They are the micro 2811s.
And then
yeah, I do plan on putting on this on the oscilloscope. I think I was telling you about that, just to kind of compare the PWM output compared to the other pixels, but I haven't had a chance to do that just yet.
And David, why is it important to have genuine World Semi chips?
Well, there's a couple reasons. I mean, if it works, it works, right? I mean, 2811 is the protocol, but there's a lot of things that are 2811 compatible. So I think that's what most people would be concerned with. But from a quality perspective, it's very important to buy the parts from a trusted manufacturer. World Semi is what we've been using forever. They are trusted. They know that we know that they're going to build quality parts. So just saying that it's 2811 compatible, that probably still could be fine. But again, you want to know where your parts are coming from. For instance, when I'm designing boards for power components, I only go with Texas Instruments. There's lots of companies that do other power parts, but if I want to know that they're going to be right and they're going to be good, I'm going to buy it from Texas Instruments. So it's just important to know from a quality perspective that, the parts are genuine from a trusted manufacturer for sure.
And it sounds like Pix Plus has done everything they can to ensure that, and going forward, that's kind of what their focus is.
We've basically taken the pixels and we put them through any WS or any 2811 protocol that we could find, and use different controllers and tried to make sure that it's going to work in every instant, and that according to what we we've tested, it matches what the supplier is telling us, and at this point we have no reason to doubt it. If we put it up on the oscilloscope and it comes up, we have to make sure we're comparing it against the other micro IC, and not just a genuine regular 2811 WS 2811, because being micro, they'll have a different waveform on them. But other than that, I mean, we tried to break it. How can I say it any better? We tried to break it. We weren't able to break it.
So that actually brings me to another question. You mentioned that you got connected with a manufacturer in South Africa. And, I think one of the things about China why there's so much manufacturing in China is that, they, specifically in Shenzhen, they have so much in such a small area. So any parts that anyone needs, they can kind of in short order get what they need. And that's, how things can be relatively cheap because things are so accessible and close. I would assume maybe South Africa is a little bit more difficult. So why South Africa? Why did you choose South Africa? And is it going to be able to remain cost competitive?
Yeah, well, right now what we've found, is that the labor cost in South Africa is actually lower than in China. or in Asia.
Yeah, it's a lower labor cost right now.
Yeah. And I mean, though we have to bring stuff in, like obviously like the LED, I mean, comes from China. We don't manufacture that portion. We have that brought in. Yeah, it does take a bit longer, but I mean, as long as we have our supply chain, management all set up, I mean, and stuff starts rolling in on a constant basis, we can plan for those delays. The other thing is also because of the shipping. Like when we do ship out, we found that, okay, shipping from China is usually about anywhere between 15 to 20 days to get over. Shipping from South Africa is actually 30 days. But right now, you guys are on the West Coast. You see the ships out there waiting to be unloaded.
Yes.
The East Coast here, we're not having those issues. So I mean, the unload time it shows up at the port and it's unloaded almost immediately. So that's another advantage, a disadvantage, but an advantage at the same time. So
another thing that makes South Africa a good source for us right now is that there are not the sanctions and tariffs between South Africa and either Canada or the United States. So you don't have all of the politics in play and the additional costs that's being put on to bringing product in from China right now. As to who is paying for it, in the end, the customer pays for it. And by coming in from South Africa, we don't have those same high tariffs and sanctions and high customs costs.
Oh, that actually is a very interesting differentiator for sure. So where if someone orders from Pix Plus, where do those get delivered from? Is it coming from you guys in a distribution center in North America? Okay, so you guys are going to be stocking these locally. Well,
right now, what's happening, because we launched this year. Our plan was to launch at the end of the year, but with the issues we saw, we decided to launch a bit early. So what happens is that our orders that are going out for this year, September and October, are actually being shipped directly from South Africa. Most of them are being directly shipped from South Africa. But as we're getting our stock in and stocking up, then Stephen's going to be shipping out of Candace, Kentucky.
Katie's, Kentucky. Yeah, I'm in Western Kentucky.
And I'm shipping out of Montreal. But we're already looking into adding in 2 more distribution centers, one in central and one in western US, and one in western Canada, to help keep shipping costs down and delays down, because shipping across the country, it takes a little while.
It adds up.
It adds up. And everybody knows the first thing you do when you place an order is you go online and you look up your tracking and you want to see when that's going to show up at your door.
Where's my tracking number?
So when people are ordering from you, it's in stock. Therefore, it's shipping out next day, within the week?
Well, once we have our stock, because right now we're just shipping, like I said, right out of South Africa.
Sure.
But once our stock is in, it's going to be 1 or 2 days, out the door, and away it goes.
Well, that's excellent. Yeah, no, I think people are going to really appreciate that, and I think this is actually a really good segue, because I discussed with you one of my concerns for you guys is. Obviously, there's going to be a time where we're going to have to just, it's new technology. Early adopters are going to test it out, and there's going to be years of trying to see, is this safe? Is this reliable? Is it quality? And before people feel really comfortable to say, okay, I'm going to buy 1 million pixels from you guys, or whatever it may be. And as that, say everything's perfect, you guys have the excellent product and everybody loves it and everybody wants it, you're going to be having to ship out a lot of product. So how do you... what is your guys' plan for managing that level of scale, shipping out millions of units per month, maybe even per week, and also still maintaining that level of quality that people are going to expect?
Well, I have 2 kids right now, but if I have to, I'll go up to 3. No, I mean, when it comes to the manufacturing, I mean, we're set up right now to produce 250,000 pixels a month. That's just as we are now.
per shift.
per shift. And I mean, we can bring that up to, you know, right now with our current setup, we can bring it up to 1.5 million a month. And then after that, it's just duplicating what we have. So, you know, within 2 months, we can bring in the equipment necessary to, you know, to bring that up to 3 million pixels a month without actually having to grow the manufacturing plant. And the reason for that is because we're not doing the injection molding and not doing the epoxy. So what happens with the epoxy is they inject it, they have to let it sit there for 24 to 48 hours before they can go on to the next step. We take that pixel right out of the mold and it goes right to the bench test. So the 48-hour bench test. So we're not.
So you
needing
require
that
less
extra
floor space for
extra floor.
Yes.
Floor, yeah, that thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's basically our, you know, and when it comes to shipping locally, I mean, we'll grow with, you know, with whatever our needs are. I mean, Stephen just put up a nice little shed in his backyard, the size of, you know, 3 semi trucks, but that's another thing.
Yeah, I just built a 30 by 50 building to house my company in. So
There you go.
So I plan to fill that up here within the next 6 months, so that we'll have product heading out.
But those are
We're
just
expecting-
the pixels. Those are just the pixels that David's ordering.
Yeah.
So are you guys both have Pixel light shows, like personal light shows?
Yep.
So will you guys be using Pix Plus this year for everything?
Not for everything.
Both. Go ahead, Stephen.
I think I've got probably 5 different pixel suppliers, and I know I have 5 different connectors in my display. But our intent is this year is to get the initial pixels that we're producing out to the customers. If we have pixels available in November for us to put some in our own crops, we're going to do that. Definitely want to do that. I'm holding on to some really nice spinners and some things that I've got from Gilbert that I want to use, but I want to make sure that our customers get the first ones that go out. But at some point, I expect that I will be having all of our pixels in display. But as long as I'm of the ilk, if something works, I'm not going to change it. And so as long as those other pixels are working for me, I'm not going to punch them out just so I can say I've got mine in there.
Sure, yeah.
Don't tell Stephen, but I snuck in an order under my wife's name. So I came to start putting a new mega tree together, and she downright shot me. You can't do that. Those aren't your pixels. You gotta wait. So we had to sneak in an order.
Is that like a insider trading?
Yeah.
Insider
No
pixels?
priority, unfortunately.
How long have you guys been doing a Pixel show? How many years?
I'm going on my 3rd year now of Pixels. I've had my own show for. It started out basically as my wife, you know, grabbing me by the hair and come on, let's string some lights, and oh God, do we have to do this again?
Yeah.
To buying a Mr. Christmas, which I hear is a famous way people get started. To receiving an email from my neighbor saying, hey, this is what you should do. And it's one of the shows, and he got me started, but he moved out before my first show. I think he realized what he'd done, so he moved.
Yeah, and I've been doing my display for about 20 years.
I was going to say, when you said you had multiple connections, I'm like, you're somebody that's been around.
Well, but I've done I've had a static show for that amount of time. I started in with with Pixels a little bit over 5 years ago, maybe 6 years now, and I'm on the other side from I think most of you. I'm an LOR guy. Andy said he's going to
be converted.
Yeah, Andy said he's going to bring me over to the dark side here pretty quick. But
Just
Or the light side, if
it's the light.
It's the light side, if it depends.
Yeah, it is. But I do a lot of AC props along with it, and I started with LOR, so So the AC works well for me, but I'll probably move over at some point. I'm moving more and more toward pixels. But I think 6 years now is what I've been on actual pixels.
So back to Pix Plus really quick. So right now it's really the focus is pixels, or are you guys also kind of trying to innovate on other things? Like we kind of see power supplies and, you know, other things. Like we really only have really one good trusted company to go to with something like that. You know, with pixels, we have lots of places. So do you see something like that you guys can tackle on and do differently? Or what other else kind of niches or things you kind of see?
We're bringing products in from the LED sign industry, basically. So things that are being used currently on the giant Megatron type boards at the sporting events, that type of thing, we're bringing their type of technology into the holiday lighting scene. So yeah, pixels are one place that we're at. What digital neon, I think, is going to be something that's going to become a pretty big thing with us and for the hobby over the next few years. It's just amazing some of the things you can do with that digital neon.
Can you explain that? Sorry, could you explain that a little bit more? I'm not familiar with digital neon.
Okay, digital neon is essentially a flexible LED strip encased in silicon. So it looks like a neon tube. If you were there at the saw this expo, that was what was running around the front of our display. And in the sign industry, a lot of the companies now are using the digital neon instead of the actual glass neon. And what makes ours different than most is that instead of just having an RGB neon, which has been out now for several years, we've seen it at Expo, we've seen it at the different trade shows. Ours is totally programmable. So we can do any color, anytime, any way you want to do it, according to however you want to program it. And it's especially good if you're doing a tunnel. You can really do some neat things with the neon in a tunnel, or use it for lining under your eaves. Just a lot of things there. So we've got that. We've got floodlights that's actually in shipment to us, both at 10 watt and 30 watt, and they program as a single pixel. So they're a 2811 floodlight.
One of the things with the floodlight, sorry, Stephen, one of the things with the floodlight is when we went looking at the stakes that go into the ground, we were looking at the plastic, and then we also came across an aluminum one, and basically they were the same price. So we're like, well, why would we even offer plastic?
Yeah.
So, and we offered it separately. So if people don't want it, they don't have to buy it. If they want it, they buy two, they buy three. If they want, they can, you know. And then we're going to figure out the way to put the stake in the ground and put the peace stake on top of it.
Collaboration occurring here.
Sandwich.
You can pay me later, David.
Yeah, we're also going to be doing our own wires and cables for extensions and for T cables, so that you can tee off the floodlights in the string. We're using only X Connect. We are not using anybody else's connector.
Great.
I think that's where everything just needs to go.
Yeah, everything needs to go that way. And
we believe the X Connect is the VHS of connectors.
And I'll say
only the older guys will get that one.
Yeah, I got that. But the T's, oh my gosh, like that's something that China just cannot get right as far as T's. They just don't get the concept, I don't think. It's just, you could draw it out for them. I've had it done 7 different ways, and they have never done it the right way.
And we're looking at 2 different kinds of T's. We're looking at the T for connecting the flood. And we're also looking at a T for injection, the power injection T's. And those have been around. So
the flood one, I'm assuming, is a 343. So you have your data in and data out. Is that right?
Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think that's great. It definitely reduces the clutter of having two pigtails
Yep.
coming out. Right?
Yes. Yeah, that's great. That sounds like so many new innovations. And that's what we need right now in this hobby.
I think this is excellent. Yeah.
This is so
Well,
great.
The idea behind it is to make it, go more towards the plug and play type style. I mean,
Sure.
it's, you look at, again, you're gonna owe me, David. You look at the Pixel to thing, the Pixel to thing when it first came out. I mean, when it comes out, it's for the do-it-yourselfer, right? You got to build it and stuff. And then you have your new one that just came out, the Pixel 3 AC.
You're close. Pixel to AC3.
AC3, there you go. Where it's, just, hey, look, I got a box, I put this here, I put this there, and away we go. So I
Yeah,
mean,
and I think I told you we're moving all of our stuff to plug and play for two reasons, and it's probably similar reasons for you guys. Is customer service, right? People are asking questions. How do I do things? There's a million different ways to do things, and you don't want to suggest something that's going to be the wrong thing, right?
Exactly.
So you just say, this is the way to do it. So we only have XConnect, just like you guys. Just to standardize on XConnect, and just make it simple. Just plug it in, and if it fits, you're good to go.
you're good to go.
With any industry, it's ripe for copycats, right? There's always going to be that problem. People see something that, they didn't think themselves, but they like it and they'll jump on it, figure out a way. How are you concerned about copycats? I'm sure, but
Absolutely. And to that end, we have done a provisional application for patent, and we're in that process right now. So right now we are first in line. Essentially, when you do a provisional application, you're first in line for this particular design, and so absolutely, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody doesn't actually have one of our samples across the pond right now.
Yeah,
looking at it.
And I don't mean like copies necessarily from within our hobby, but just the outside, just like all the other manufacturers that want to jump on this.
That's what I'm looking at too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
And I mean, I already got an email from or a message from one of my contacts saying, hey, there's somebody in the US selling your Pixel. You know that? Do you know that? Like, Steven.
So where do you guys, looking forward to the future, 3-5 years, where do you see Pix Plus? Do you see yourself taking over the industry, or do you guys see yourself carving out a niche? Where do you see Pix Plus?
I see Pix Plus as being one of the major players, and with the demand that we're seeing right now, as early as 2022, we're going to be, if we're not the major, we're going to be one of the major players out there. I mean, just the feedback that we got from the Vegas Expo. I mean, every other person that would come to the booth is, oh, you're the new guys. You're the new guys.
Well, there's a healthy level of skepticism, as people should have, because 2020 was a dumpster fire, right? No pun intended. There was so many issues. There was fires, there was failures, there was so many, quality issues, shipping delays, you name it, across the board, everything. And people are fed up, right? And if you guys are the magic ticket, every single person is going to jump on that bandwagon. You guys know that. It's going to be, you're going to have more work than you can handle. So, I applaud the effort regardless, just moving in the right direction of quality and safety. It's what we need.
Innovating.
The other thing,
so ripe right now. Sorry, Steve.
The other thing is affordability. We're planning, and I think we're going to be able to do it, is to keep our Pixel as the low-cost Pixel out there, even at the high quality. We've got some ways that we're going to be doing our early ordering to where if somebody wants to order in say December, January, February, it's going to be at one of our lowest prices, and it'll be delivered to them in March. And each quarter maybe going up a penny. But our base price is going to be 20 cents a pixel. And that'll be our normal price. We're going to be able to better that at certain times of the year. Right now, we have to be a little bit higher than that because right now we're flying stuff around to get it to South Africa. We're flying stuff from South Africa to get it to the customer. So our prices are a little bit high right now compared to what we want them to be, and where we know they're going to be next year. We're already putting out notification as to what we're going to be selling at for our initial buy starting in November, December.
So how can people get more information? Do you guys have a mailing list, or how do people stay updated on, your Bright Guys' products?
Yeah, how can people hear more about Pix Plus?
Well, Pix Plus, if you look it up on Facebook, we have a Facebook page. We have an Instagram page also. Also, if you go to the websites, either can-pixplus.com or USA-pixplus.com. There's a sheet, there's a what do you call it, page there that they can sign up for and, ask to be put on a mailing list, and we'll definitely do that for them.
I wanted to touch on one little thing before kind of shutting down here, but I feel like, and Stephen touched on it and made me think, logistics like that, we don't have to sacrifice quality of pixels. There's a reckoning of logistics that could be harnessed a lot better than we're doing right now. And that's kind of where I think your mind's going at, is, using the powers of logistics to help you out, to lower the cost, that as far as, all that stuff, and without sacrificing the quality and pixels and stuff like that. So that's great. And I don't think a lot of people even think about that they're thinking that they have to go back to the manufacturer and, do. But I think it's a little bit within themselves that we all need to do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, by having the 3 distribution centers across the US, I mean, your shipping cost is, probably half to, depending where you're located, it could be, half the cost. So, I mean, it doesn't, we don't have to increase our price to cover those kind of costs. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great.
And right now, that is whatever price that we are advertising for a particular sale, that is for a price for them to have it shipped out of our location, either here in Kentucky or there in Montreal. So we're not saying, oh, and you have to also add another 3 cents to pay for the shipping across the pond.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Our pricing is the pricing from our location. So your shipping cost that you're going to pay is the actual UPS or USPS or Canadian Post cost from our location to you. It's there's not an additional charge. We've had a couple of special orders that we've already done for this year for people that they wanted something special and they wanted it at a certain time that the shipping was added in. But that was a special case. That's not a normal buy of going online and saying, I want 2,500 pixels or something.
Well, I'm just so excited for the future of pixels and Pix Plus in general, and just whatever other stuff you're going to be showing. I'm going to sign up for your newsletter. I want to get updates. I think everyone that's listening and watching, you should sign up as well. These guys, keep an eye on these guys. This is really awesome. So thank you so much, Andy and Stephen, for coming on. This has been a great show, and thank you, David, for coming on. Before I kind of say, if anybody has any last words, I just want to give a big thank you to Seth, our editor. I for years, it was me by myself doing this. So thank you so much, Seth. Don't edit this out, Seth. You're amazing.
Just for the record, Seth is my son, and he is the editor of the Professional Triers, the official editor.
Yes, I got an editor now. And other than that, if you guys have any other products, in general, the audience, if you have any other products that you would like to, us to talk about, or you would like to come on Hot or Not and talk about your product, hit me, David, Brian, or JR, because we're kind of just a big team now working together. So, and I'm going to pass it around, starting with Andy, if you have anything you want to say before we go.
No, I'm just,
Thank
it was a real pleasure meeting you guys down at the expo, talking to you. My wish list to meet David Peace is complete now. So up in Canada, that's what we do. We do make wish lists and we try to complete them. That's about it for me, guys.
Thank you. Stephen.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you guys for letting us come on and talk about our companies and our products. I appreciate it very much. Well, thank you.
Of course. And David.
I'm just, very, very excited for, to see where you guys go with this. One thing that I would suggest is maybe think about RGBW as well.
Yeah.
Also
I've heard of RGBW and RGBA. I think the last one I heard
was that Amber.
Amber.
Yep.
Yeah.
Brought a new light bulb in my head.
and then for the festival people, UV, if you want to get into that.
Yeah.
That's right.
Those don't last very long, is what I understand. They don't have a very long shelf life. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming on. I just have so many other things to talk about, but I think we kind of have to end this. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening. And please check out Pix Plus. And thank you guys for coming on. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks, guys.